The rumors are growing louder in the Bay Area, and they cut deeper than ever. Golden State Warriors fans, you've been here before. You know the anxiety. The fear of what could be lost, the hope of what could be gained. This is not just about a player moving teams. This is about survival. Reinvention. It's about whether this dynasty has the strength, the audacity, to evolve, one more time. Reports circulating from Bovada suggest a shocking scenario. The Golden State Warriors currently hold the third highest odds to land Karl-Anthony Towns in a blockbuster trade, a seismic shift that could alter the landscape of the NBA forever. But before we dive into the hypothetical future, let's confront the brutal, inescapable present. The Warriors are desperate. They need a big man, a modern big man, someone who can defend the rim, push the ball in transition, hit from deep, and score, in ways that their current roster simply can't. Quinton Post? A young promise, yes. But when the playoffs arrived, when it mattered most, he faltered. He wasn't ready. The Warriors know it. The league knows it. His time may still come, but not now. Not when the clock is ticking so loudly on this era. And then there's Draymond Green, the emotional heartbeat of this franchise. The defensive maestro, the enforcer, the mind who sees the game in angles no one else does. But let's be honest, his offensive limitations have become glaring. They shrink the floor, they burden Steph Curry, they suffocate the flow of this team's once beautiful offense. The need is obvious, but is the solution? Enter Karl-Anthony Towns. Cat. A player whose name has been whispered in every front office, debated on every podcast, fantasized about by fans who dream of versatile bigs who can do it all. And make no mistake, KAT has been doing it all. When the Knicks pulled off their trade to acquire Towns and young center James Nagy, it raised eyebrows. Julius Randle was gone, Dante DiVincenzo was gone, along with others and key draft picks. But the Knicks believed. And Towns delivered. In the playoffs, when the lights were brightest, KAT rose. His numbers spiked, he became the engine that kept New York in the brutal series against the Indiana Pacers. His presence in the paint, his ability to stretch the floor, his increased efficiency, undeniable. 12.8 rebounds per game. 54% shooting from the field. A lethal 42% from beyond the arc. And, a rare trait among big men, playmaking. 3 assists per game. A pivot, literally and figuratively, around which an entire offense can revolve. This is what the Warriors crave, what they need. Someone to unlock the next version of themselves, before it's too late. But there's a catch. Always, a catch. The dream of Towns in a Warriors jersey may be intoxicating, but it's also unlikely. Why? The sheer magnitude of his contract, $53 million. And the sobering reality. Golden State's assets are limited. They don't have the flexibility they once did. They don't have the draft capital they once did. They don't have the young, expendable stars they once did. To make this happen, they'd have to make a sacrifice that might be too painful for even the most diehard Warriors fans to accept. The trade simulation is ruthless. Draymond Green would have to go. Draymond, the man who bled for this franchise, who fought for every inch, who defined the very ethos of Warriors basketball. Gone. Possibly alongside Buddy Hield, and maybe, just maybe, Jonathan Kuminga in a sign-and-trade deal. Kuminga, the young spark plug, the future, the raw energy that fans still believe could turn into something special. And it wouldn't stop there. First-round picks in 2029 and 2030 would also be shipped off, precious tickets to the future, in a desperate gamble to salvage the present. But if you think that's where the complications end, think again. This trade would leave the Warriors gutted. Only 7 active contracts remaining. Minimal cap space. No depth. They'd be forced to rely on veteran minimums and unproven players to fill the void. The very foundation of their strength, ball movement, rotation, bench productivity, would be crippled. And even if Golden State somehow convinced themselves it was worth the risk, would the Knicks really say yes? After everything KAT gave them? After how he transformed their offense, stabilized their defense, and helped carry them through the brutality of the Eastern Conference playoffs? It seems improbable. But improbable doesn't mean impossible. Because there are always variables, always scenarios where the unthinkable becomes reality. For instance, they tried to simulate the deal without including Moses Moody. But it failed. Salary cap restrictions, relentless, unforgiving, mathematical. To make it work, Moody would need to be sacrificed too. Another young talent, another fan favorite. Suddenly, the Warriors' future feels paper-thin. But now, let's peel back one more layer, one more ghost lurking in the shadows. KAT's relationship with Jimmy Butler. A past filled with tension, with words unspoken and wounds unhealed. They played together in Minnesota, and it ended badly. Butler, the hard-nosed, no-nonsense leader, clashed with Towns, questioning his work ethic, his toughness, his will. And now, imagine KAT walking into a Golden State locker room filled with championship rings, with men who know what sacrifice means, with Steph Curry still leading the way, with Steve Kerr demanding selflessness and resilience above all. Would KAT thrive in that culture? Or would old ghosts resurface? The chemistry questions, they're real. They haunt this potential trade as much as the financial hurdles do. And yet, despite all the reasons why this trade shouldn't happen, there remains the temptation. Because sometimes, when a dynasty is on life support, you have to swing big. You have to risk everything. You have to be willing to let go of the past, to chase one last shot at glory. For the Warriors, this is that moment. It's not just a front office decision. It's a philosophical crossroads. Do they believe they can win one more time with Draymond's defense, but limited scoring? Or do they sacrifice their identity, to gain the offensive versatility they so desperately need? The Knicks, on their side, are positioned better than most to absorb such shocks. They sit below the second apron, giving them more financial breathing room. But still, even for them, the idea of parting with KAT after all he's given, after all he's become, it's hard to fathom. He was their gamble, and he proved them right. Would they really let him go now? The answer, as of now, is no. But the NBA is a league of whispers, of backroom deals, of sudden, earth-shattering moves made in the dead of night. So, as of today, as you watch this, know that the scenario is technically possible. But it comes at an almost unbearable cost, for both teams, for both fanbases, for the very soul of what the Warriors have been for the last decade. Golden State's dynasty has been built on faith, on patience, on brilliance. But now, with Steph in his twilight, with Klay uncertain, and Draymond facing the possibility of being traded, the question is no longer about who they are. It's about who they're willing to become. So, Warriors fans, prepare yourselves. This summer could be one of the most defining in franchise history. Maybe the trade never materializes, and Golden State runs it back, one more time, with the same core, hoping for magic. Or, maybe they roll the dice, and a new era begins, with Karl-Anthony Towns leading the charge in the paint, stretching the floor, passing from the post, rebounding with fury. And with the ghosts of Draymond, Kuminga, and Moody left behind. The only certainty is that change is coming. And for a franchise that has already conquered the world, the only question left is: do they dare to do it again? Or do they let this story, quietly, come to an end? The clock is ticking. The rumors are rising. And the whole basketball world is watching. And here's the key takeaway from the channel: delve into financial education to enhance your quality of life. Within the financial market, explore bonds and shares, particularly focusing on real estate investment trusts, which offer the potential for passive income. Engage with this responsibly and consider reputable investment brokerages worldwide.